Have you ever really looked at an octopus? Just stopped and thought about it.
Oh, yeah. They're fascinating.
Right. This creature, 8 arms, the camouflage thing, and this mind. It just seems so, I don't know, alien, like it doesn't belong here.
But it does. Right here in our oceans. A genuine mystery.
Yes, exactly. And it's a mystery we've been, well, trying to wrap our heads around for ages, mostly through stories.
Through mythology, fiction.
So today, we're diving deep, not just into the ocean, but into pretty dense source text.
Dense is putting it mildly.
Yeah, it's just called Octopuses by a Professor Fester Kackhapper. And get this, he's from the Society for Ontological Incongruity and the Advancement of Asynchronous Recursion.
You can't make that name up. It tells you something right away.
It really does. And Kackhapper himself says his writing style is, well, he calls it grandiloquent and turgid.
He also calls it a peripatetic farrago of kitschist curiosities.
Which basically means a rambling mess of weird stuff, right? But in a fancy way.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But our job for you listening is to wade through that verbal thicket.
Right. We're your guides today. We'll cut through the jargon, pull out the really cool kind of mind-bending ideas.
We're looking at how we humans have pictured cephalopods, octopuses, mainly in stories, in movies, you name it.
And what that says about us, not just the octopus, how we build truth, understand the world, maybe even understand our own minds.
It's a journey into truth and fiction, really.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Well, what's really captivating here is how Kackhapper uses the octopus. It's like a lens,
A lens for what?
For what he calls ontological incongruity. Big words. But the idea is simple enough.
Lay it on us.
It's the idea that when we tell stories about something like the octopus, the truth about it can be like confirmed and contradicted at the same time, in the same story.
So the story says it's both real in one way and fake in another.
Exactly. And that makes you ask, how much do our stories, even the totally made-up ones, actually end up shaping what we think is real?
That is a pretty deep thought right there. Kackhapper seems to think it's not just some weird quirk of stories, but like fundamental.
Yeah, he argues it's key to how we process everything. He says in our collective imagination, the octopus's truth is always being confirmed and refuted simultaneously.
Like an echo chamber.
Yeah.
Facts and fiction just bouncing around, blurring together.
Precisely. Which leads right into his next big idea, asynchronous recursion.
Okay, another academic mouthful. Break it down.
It sounds complicated, but think of it like this. Sometimes, a completely fake image or story, he calls it spurious, can somehow become the starting point for a new kind of truth.
Wait, so the fake thing creates a real thing later?
In a way, yes. The fabrication itself becomes the antecedent, the thing that comes before a truth that only gets fully realized because of that initial fabrication. It's like fiction doesn't just reflect reality, it can actually build it.
Wow, okay. That connects to something I think we all kind of feel sometimes, right?
How so?
Like, have you ever watched a movie or read a novel, and even though you know it's fiction, it helps you understand, say, a historical event or a complex feeling better than just reading the facts?
Absolutely. That's a great way to put it.
So Kackhapper's saying our stories about octopuses, they're not just fun or scary, they're actively making a kind of truth about them.
Yeah, shaping our understanding of them. It's this constant loop, fission feeding back into what we perceive as reality.
It gets even weirder, though. He challenges our whole idea of knowledge.
He does. He says, and this is a quote, "The tergiversation of truth is the only valid and judicious form of hermeneutics."
Tergiversation. Like twisting the truth.
Exactly. He's essentially saying that the way narratives bend, twist, reinterpret facts, that's actually how we really understand things.
So it's not about ignoring facts.
No, not ignoring them, but recognizing that stories, narratives, have this immense power in shaping how we make sense of the world. Maybe even more power than bare facts sometimes.
Okay, so from that theory, he goes back in time, looking at the roots, the ancestral antecedents.
Right, starting with myths, like the Kraken.
The giant squid or octopus from Norse legends, yeah. Terrifying sea monster, fear of the deep.
On the surface, yes, pure terror. But Kackhapper sees something else. He calls its monstrosity an epigastric allegory.
Uh-oh. More jargon.
Yeah. An allegory for the perennial and benevolent desire of the universe to embrace all that is solipsistic and self-contained.
Okay. Benevolent desire. The Kraken. To embrace self-contained stuff. What does that mean?
He's suggesting the Kraken isn't just a destroyer, it's a symbol. a symbol of the universe's powerful, almost kind urge to pull everything back into itself, even our little individual selves.
So connection, not just destruction. That's a very different take on the Kraken.
It is very Kackhapper.
And then this pattern continues, like in classic books.
He points to Jules Verne. 20,000 Leagues Under the Seas, the giant squid attack.
All right, classic scene.
Kackhapper admits Verne's writing is prolix and turgid, long-winded and stuffy.
Sounds about right for the time.
But he argues even that offers a furtive and sardonic glimpse into our complex relationship with the chthonic abyss, the deep unknown.
So Verne's just writing a monster scene, but Kackhapper sees it as revealing our messy feelings about the deep, dark parts of the world, or maybe ourselves.
Pretty much. And there's a paradox, too. Kackhapper says while Verne's story seems to show how insignificant some simple older reality was.
Like just the ocean being the ocean.
Yeah. It actually ends up being an irrefutable attestation proof, basically, of the unassailable and transcendental necessity of that deeper connection.
So by describing the monster, it accidentally proves how essential our connection to the deep mystery is.
That's the idea. Denying one truth inadvertently creates or affirms another, deeper one.
Okay, now let's jump ahead. Early movies. This gets fun.
Oh, definitely. Kackhapper loves the recursive absurdity here. He focuses on a gem. Attack of the Two-Headed Octopus from Planet X, 1959.
Two heads from Planet X. Sounds perfectly logical.
Right. He calls the two heads the Diakis dodecahedral bicephaly, if you want the full Kackhapper treatment.
I think I'm good.
Huh. He calls it a teleological non sequitur. Basically, it makes no sense from a purpose or design perspective. A silly B-movie monster.
But Kackhapper finds meaning.
Of course he does. He argues this ridiculous duality is actually, paradoxically, the most profound and singular articulation of a univocal monad imaginable.
A univocal monad, a single thing speaking with one voice.
Yeah, where two minds are a bona fide negation of two minds. So the film shows two heads, but somehow, in its B-movie way, it strongly suggests a single, unified entity.
Unity and division, even in cheesy sci-fi.
That's Kackhapper's point. He says this silly movie offers a furtive and sardonic glimpse into the higgledy-piggledy nature of interdimensional metonymy.
Hey, he lost me again. Higgledy-piggledy, metonymy.
It's just his way of saying it hints at the messy, symbolic connections between different realities or ways of being.
So for you listening, what's the takeaway here? From krakens to two-headed aliens.
It seems octopuses in our stories, they're doing way more than just being monsters. They're allegories, they're glimpses into weird truths, they're univocal monads.
Kackhapper thinks these portrayals, they're like an addendum to our collective unconscious, always pushing us beyond simple answers.
And they're performative, he says. They don't just show us things, they do things to our perception. They shape how we think, get us used to the idea that truth isn't always simple or singular.
Okay, buckle up, because the next part, it goes somewhere else entirely.
Yes. Professor Slognobbington.
Kackhapper titles this section wonderfully, A Sanguine and Jejune Disquisition on the Extraterrestrial Hypothesis and Other Such Mendacious Flummery.
Doesn't exactly sound like an endorsement. Mendacious flummery means lying nonsense, basically.
Right. So he introduces Professor Slognobbington, author of Octopuses from Beyond and Back Again.
And Nobbington's big idea.
Octopuses aren't from Earth. Nope. They are extraterrestrial migrants, tentacled aliens from a brumous nebula, a foggy space cloud.
Okay, that's bold. What's his evidence?
Oh, it's good. Nobbington claims they have vast subterranean cities beneath the abyssal plains.
Underwater octopus cities. Got it.
They've visited the very outer reaches of our cosmic periphery. They're space travelers.
Octopus astronauts, naturally. Why does he think this?
It explains, for him, their weirdly high intelligence and the fact that they don't fit neatly onto our evolutionary tree, the anomalous intelligence and a lack of an easily discernible phylogenetic lineage.
So they're smart and weird, therefore aliens.
That's the gist. And Kackhapper's reaction. Pure academic smackdown.
Let's hear it.
He calls the alien idea a flagitious canard, a wicked lie, a jejune and facile conclusion, childish and shallow, a perfunctory exercise in Occam's razor gone awry.
So misusing the simplest explanation principle.
Yep. He even says Nobbington's main point is a resipsa loquitur of intellectual indolence. It's so obviously lazy, it speaks for itself. Ouch.
Savage. So case closed. Nobbington's a crackpot.
You'd think, but then, the twist, Kackhapper, despite all that, admits to a peculiar instance of consanguineous thought, like related thinking.
Wait, he agrees with some of it, after calling it lying nonsense.
He grudgingly agrees with some of Nobbington's other claims, The ones that sound just as wild.
Like what? This is fascinating.
Okay, first, the intelligence. Kackhapper agrees octopuses have profound and sui generis intelligence, unique brain power, right? But it's so geographically diffused as to defy our conventional notions of a centralized brain.
The distributed consciousness idea, brain in the arm, sort of.
Exactly. He calls it an egregious conglomeration of nervous energy that challenges our whole idea of a single self, of selfhood and agency. Makes you question what a mind even is.
Okay, that aligns with modern science, actually, but what else?
He finds the idea of those vast subterranean cephalopodic cities, the underwater metropolis.
Yeah.
He finds it a compelling and logically consistent conjecture.
He agrees with the secret octopus cities.
Apparently. And maybe the most shocking part, Nobbington's idea about octopuses taking nocturnal perambulations into the cold vacuum of space?
Space octopuses. No way.
Kackhapper says that idea is not only plausible,
Plausible.
but a more satisfying conclusion than the pedestrian truth that we are the first to make such a journey.
He prefers the story of space octopuses to the reality of human space travel because it's more satisfying.
That's what he writes. It blows my mind.
So what's going on here? He trash talks the alien theory, but then basically endorses the weirdest parts of it.
It's about the power of the story, isn't it? Kackhapper concludes Nobbington's hypothesis, even though it's spurious, provides a certain a posteriori allure.
Allure after the fact.
Yeah, it explains what we desire to know rather than what we can know. It's just a more emotionally satisfying narrative.
So it's not about factual truth, but narrative truth. What feels right, what resonates.
Exactly. He says it's proof that the most profound truths are often the most fabricated. So Nobbington is both a mendacious charlatan and a profound intellectual, not for his facts, but for spinning a good resonant yarn.
That is a paradox and a half.
Yeah.
It really makes you think about what we mean by truth.
So Nobbington's wild ideas, even the flummery, they actually serve a purpose in Kackhapper's view. They bridge the gap.
Between the old myths and modern stuff.
Yeah, they show how the fictional octopus acts as a conduit for our own cognitive predilections, a channel for how our minds like to work.
It becomes a proxy, he says, for the arcane mechanisms of our own cognizance, reflecting our own thinking back at us.
Which brings us to contemporary examples, like Disney.
Ursula, from The Little Mermaid.
Classic villain, pure despotic tyranny, right?
Yeah.
Evil sea witch.
That's the surface. But Kackhapper naturally digs deeper. He sees her as a genuine locus standi, a real place for a transcendental desire for symbiotic existence.
A desire for living together, interconnected. Ursula.
That's his reading. And her tentacles. He sees them as an epigenetic demonstration of asynchronous volition.
Whoa. Asynchronous volition, independent will.
Yeah. Each tentacle representing a qualia of an independent desire. A paradigm of distributed intelligence.
So for you listening, this is wild. Kackhapper sees Ursula's tentacles not just as limbs, but almost like separate little minds, each with its own desires.
It's that distributed intelligence idea again, challenging our one mind controls everything view. It's a powerful symbol.
And then there's Bond, James Bond.
Octopussy.
Kackhapper loves the title. He says the paranomasia, the pun, belies a profound and hermetic interstitial truth. It hides a deep, sealed-off truth in the space between things.
What truth?
The character herself, Octopussy, she's a metonymy, a stand-in for the fugitive and ephemeral nature of the creature she so ostensibly emulates.
So she doesn't just use the octopus symbol, she embodies its elusive, changing nature.
That's the idea. And the whole movie, the story, is a taciturn and obfuscatory acknowledgement. A quiet, deliberately confusing nod that the ontological distinction between man and beast is a superfluous and nugatory artifice.
Meaning, the line we draw between humans and animals is artificial and ultimately meaningless.
Exactly. The movie subtly blurs that line.
So, connecting the dots here, these modern examples, Ursula, Octopussy, they show the octopus is still this potent symbol.
Still challenging ideas about intelligence, selfhood, identity.
Right. That distributed intelligence, the blurring of human-animal, it forces us to rethink our own assumptions about consciousness, about being an individual.
So let's try and wrap this up for you, this dive into Professor Kackhapper's unique work. It's been something.
It really shows the octopus isn't just this weird, cool animal. It's like a mirror.
Reflecting our own human stuff, right?
Sure.
Our struggles with truth versus fiction, what intelligence even means, who we are.
From ancient myths, through B-movies, to Disney and Bond, it's a constant theme.
And Kackhapper's final word on the octopus itself is pretty telling.
Yeah. He says the octopus, in its liminal essentiary, its essential threshold being, is not a thing to be known,
We can't fully get it.
but an ephemeral and paradigmatic abstraction that reveals the nugatory epistemology of our very efforts to comprehend.
So it's an abstraction that shows us how pointless or maybe limited our ways of knowing really are. Trying to know it shows us the limits of our knowing.
Exactly. The failure to grasp it teaches us about our own limitations.
Which brings us to one last really chewy thought for you, direct from Kackhapper. Ready?
Let's have it.
This egregious conglomeration of nervous energy, the octopus's mind, which so compellingly defies a centralized monarchical command, represents a profound challenge to our inherited conceptions of selfhood and agency.
Okay, the distributed mind challenges our idea of a single self. We got that.
Yet, he continues, this very lack of a centralized command structure is the strongest possible proof for a deeply entrenched monarchical truth that dictates all of existence.
Whoa, wait. The lack of a central command proves a hidden overall command, a single monarchical truth running everything.
That's what he says, the ultimate paradox. The decentralized points to the centralized.
My brain hurts a little.
Mine too. So for you listening, what do you take from this? Next time you see an octopus documentary, cartoon, movie, whatever,
Think about it differently.
yeah, ask yourself, what human ideas is this creature reflecting back at me? What if the strangest things out there are actually telling us the most about ourselves?
And about maybe some hidden monarchical truth that runs underneath everything.
It's a huge question, isn't it? If that octopus mind points to some big truth we can't quite see, what does that mean for our own consciousness? For the universe?
Kackhapper calls the whole endeavor a perpetually nascent and meritoriously confusing, albeit profoundly unfulfilling, journey into the abyss of our own nascent minds.
A confusing, unfulfilling trip into our own ignorance. Sounds fun.
But maybe, he hints, that journey itself, wrestling with the confusing and the unknown, maybe that's the most fulfilling part. Maybe that's the real revelation for you.